Hello my friends, and as you know I do Taroscopes like on the shift between the signs. So 23rd it's marking from Leo to Virgo. So before I start for all the signs, I just want to wish Virgos happy birthdays and also give you a really quick intro of what's going to consist in this. Just quickly before I start, I really want to thank to everybody for your patience last month. My dad is still at a hospital. He is going to be released this week, which most likely is going to be even more work for me. And so I really ask for your patience this month as well. It looks like next month I should have the new schedule packed down, so it's going to be easier. So without further ado, let me tell you how the reading is going to happen this month. I'm going to do pretty much what I did the last time, last month, but with a twist. We're going to start with a high-level messages from the top down, how the karma is looking at it, what is basically a big picture for you, what are the big messages. This is really important. This is like really teaching you how to fish instead of just giving you the fish. Then I am actually going to move into the tarot part of the reading. So we are going to do the double Celtic cross with the Rain Virtue cards and with my special cat cards. And we're going to see certainly spiritual kind of messages and kind of like what's going around, etc. That's kind of like level down from the top of the mountain. Then we are going to go even lower and we're going to get a little bit of a general reading to see what is happening. And Lenormand is really good tool to kind of like even give timelines. And then we are going to go down and dirty. We are going to use Gypsy and we're going to feel and see all these people around us. And this time I'm going to add a twist and to kind of like really culminate this. At some point in this reading, and I'm not going to tell you when, I'm going to include a question that you can ask yourself. So literally you can pause and ask yourself a question and I'll give you the answer and you'll be able to choose one of the three options, so that way you would really know that answer is catered for you. So there you go. It's a little bit of interactivity. So let me start. Hi Scorpio, welcome to your September monthly. So let's see what is in the store for you. It was kind of really interesting. I had this entire cluster of cards coming out, and then I was looking at it and said, holy smoke, we have new moon, we have full moon, and we have radiance, we have submerged. Initially it looked like a conflict, and last month reading was that you guys are going to kind of like emerge into something else. It looks like the transformation is still there, and I think that's probably the key card over here. So let's start right here. So check this out. In the other decks, this card is called Death, and it's kind of like a really crucial card. It definitely says that certain things have to end and then the other things maybe can start. It's kind of like refreshment, right? But check it out. In this particular deck, it's kind of like really interesting because this central figure kind of like sits on the top of a flower, right? But this flower is like the fire over here, right? So it is some kind of transformation. So there's obviously from the water to fire, right? And one of his hands rests on his lap, like it's open and receptive. And we also see here basically a snake shedding its skin. So it's absolutely going into transformation. And I was actually reading about Scorpio yesterday. I really wanted to see why Scorpio is a Scorpio. Why is it a little bug? Because I know I hear the stories, oh guys, you're Phoenix and everything, but it's called Scorpion. So the truth is the Scorpion is the lowest level you guys can be. And then from Scorpion you're going into snake and fish. That's also symbol for Scorpio, I learned. And that's why we have the snake over here. And the top symbol for Scorpio would be eagle or phoenix. That kind of like rises from the ashes. So this is basically the process of going from the bottom to the top. And I think the fact that you go to Phoenix this time around, it's time to kind of like go higher. Maybe you did kind of like start your transformation last month, but this is a time for a deep kind of let go. So this is time to kind of allow any pain, sorrow, or difficulty basically to be there. And you have to accept it is a part of who we are. So sometimes we need to give up knowing, wondering. Sometimes we have to give up and just be, right? And let this happen, right? Because transformation will come just like death comes. We don't really know. We cannot plan it. And it's going to take you from one dimension to another. So it is kind of like really interesting. This is question you if you can be a daring soul who can drop all beliefs and unbeliefs, I don't know, doubt, reason, and enter this pure existence. Because look at this lotus flower and this electricity and kind of like striving up higher. It is a rebirth here, more than death in this card, right? Just this month, it's going to change you from the base metal into gold. But if you resist, you might end up with a result that maybe you don't want to. So this is the moment that is coming, and you're going to see it. And this is the moment that maybe has been eluding you your entire life. So this is like what Gautam Buddha called 84,000 doors open. So you guys are really having these new doors opening, and that's where this new moon kind of like makes lots of sense. So we also got another card, the Miser. So what do we see here? We see this woman who has created almost like a fortress around herself, and she's clinging to all the possession. She's calling treasures. She's calling, this is really, really valuable, right? So the fact that she actually kind of collected so much stuff to adorn herself, including the furs and the feathers, right? They're actually really making herself, she made herself ugly in that effort, if you really think about it. So when we see this card is challenges us to look, what are we clinging to? So see, this is like what is asking you to let go of. So this is the part of the process you can do, right? This is like not that I'm talking about that, you know, you need to get rid of everything, but we have to figure out if some kind of valuables to us are basically creating this walls and fortress around us. I'm not telling you that you have to look in your big bank balance or, you know, box full of, I don't know, gold or jewels. It could be something really simply kind of sharing our time with a friend, or possibly taking the risk of expressing our love to another. So you have to figure out what is that you're not willing to do that possibly should be done. So whatever you're holding on to, remember that you cannot take it with you. Kind of loosen your grip and feel the freedom and expansiveness that kind of sharing can bring. So this is the sharing time. This transformation is going to come. Maybe it was starting last month on its own, but now the moment when you start clinging onto the old, onto things, onto how you used to do the things, you're missing the target. And you're missing the transformation. So because things are not the target, and target is not that beautiful house, but target is that beautiful you. So be open to new things. Be open to kind of like remedy issues that maybe have been festering for a while. And this is kind of moving us into this new moon. And so new moon, like we just had during eclipse, right? Because each eclipse always happens on a new moon. So this is not really some kind of like hidden phenomena. And we are basically talking here about a promise of something new. And so this is going to be connecting over here to this kind of like transformation that you're having. So it is maybe some kind of like dedication that you can really stop and think, what is it I really want? In which direction do I really want to go? What new things I really want to manifest in my life? It is like time to basically launch something, project or relationship, or there is like a time for renewal. Like these two things are kind of like very similar. The new moon would be maybe transitioning to this kind of like new promise, right? It's certainly telling me that some kind of like seed of some kind of idea is ready to emerge from this darkness. And look at here, we have the sunset, we have the moon. So when we have this card of promise, a promise has two meanings. It can be a commitment and guarantee to yourself or somebody else that a particular thing will happen, or it also can imply that something specific is expected to happen. So when you kind of align your will with kind of like that universal purpose or spirit or God, whatever you call it, then you basically are aligning your intentions. You're aligning yourself to the better you, to the better yourself. And then this wish most likely does happen. And this is why they say when we have a new moon, we kind of cast new wishes. So maybe you have to look back what you did during that solar eclipse on the 21st. Have you been good? Have you been feeding the positive thoughts? If not, there is still another chance around when is like 18th, another new moon, when you can do that. So kind of prepare yourself for the middle of the month. It's going to be big kind of like push through for you to kind of like go to it. And now these two cards together that on a kind of surface, they almost look maybe even contradictory. We have this radiance, right? And this is talking probably about the heights. You know, the phoenix goes up. So this is kind of interesting. You have this like submerged things. And you see there is this new phase, if you can tell, that is kind of emerging. And this is kind of like coming from this iceberg into this probably full radiance, right? So this is talking about probably aspirations and what can happen in the future. Certainly kind of like something that takes us away from our worries and cares. And this is kind of like talking about being in love with life. And when we actually get into that vibration, we radiate that love. So during this part of your cycle, your capacity to love is greatly amplified. So it's kind of like one of those ironies of life. The more love you give, the more it returns to you, right? So it starts by allowing the radiant kind of being you truly are to kind of be expressed. And this keeps saying the same thing. You guys don't have expectations. Don't hold on to other things. Just let go. Notice the beauty of nature. See the humor. Show your love, especially to those who are basically the closest to you. And then smile and just see how the world around you lights up, right? Then we are going to this iceberg. And so, you know, like the story about this iceberg, the majority of the things that happen are underneath the surface, right? So this is why the card is called submerged. So only thing that we see, and we almost see these two kind of like faces over here, that maybe we are kind of like again reaching something that kind of has been solidified, something that is frozen. Somebody maybe we froze out of our life, right? And keep in mind that up to 90% of this iceberg is below the surface. So whenever you suppress or deny to keep this conscious, because this is conscious and this is subconscious below, right? We're talking here, this is going to be addressing your shadow aspects, right? What is shadow? This is something that we kind of like put on the shelf. There are things that maybe we don't do well. There are things where we maybe didn't kind of like put our best foot forward. There may be things that, you know, that we harshly judged other people. Maybe there are things where, you know, we felt very righteous and kind of like push our will or push our way onto somebody else. And when we harm somebody, this is also guilt. So this is saying that now is the time to allow these elements to surface. Embrace them. They're part of you. Scorpio, remember? It's going to happen. You're going to go from Scorpio to Phoenix. So whatever this is, this may make up some sort of self-expression. It can be a secret dream that you wish to accomplish, or even possibly uglier aspects that kind of like you need to acknowledge, accept, and release. Whatever you have submerged deep inside of you, it is your opportunity to pay attention to those things and welcome them to the family. And guess what is the family called? It's called you. So it is like really, really important. Looks like every single thing, it was just a cluster of cards that came out when I did the shuffling, that is again calling you to go to the much, much higher level. And you're going to accomplish this. The full moon is almost guaranteeing this, because full moon happens every 29.5 days that we kind of see this full moon. Generally that means that moon kind of grew up to be the biggest, and then from that point it's kind of waning. So when you can kind of take pleasure in knowing that whatever you have been working toward has reached its culmination, it's kind of like something that you really realize, okay, sometimes you don't have to put so much of effort. Maybe you just have to have this particular vibration. So let yourself feel, when you start feeling that you are investing this time into something else, that you're not holding on to things, that you're actually expressing this love and not having any grudges, that you are like facing your own guilt, your own fears. Also, this is asking you to honor yourself, right? It's important to, you know, let go and allow yourself to also relax afterwards. Just like breathing. Breathing is very important. So people are usually very eager to rush from one item on agenda to the next without really giving extra time to acknowledge what basically happened. But these small celebrations of small things that we kind of accomplished are extremely, extremely important, because you're getting this amazing 2 cards for the final 2 cards. And this was the whole build up, so you have to do this work. But look at this. The end of this line is amazing. First of all, you have tree. And I love this because this is pretty much the picture from the other side. So you see, you have to consider how trees exemplify balance between heaven and earth, right? So their branches kind of like reach out and up, and their leaves breathe in carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen, and we need that oxygen. So just basically having plants at home or being around plants is extremely important for our body. It's important to give us life, so these trees are pretty much responsible for it, so we have to give them thanks. And their basically trunks and roots plant themselves firmly in the soil, and they're like receiving the gifts of another kind of nourishment, right? And then they give it back to us. So look at this like beautiful cycle that we can actually really see that. So when you see the tree and when you're going through this transformation, this is making me feel that maybe some focus is important. Like instead of being scattered and spacey, you know, try to be fully in your body and try to get grounded. Sometimes it's as needed as just like step with your bare foot on the soil. Enjoy it. Enjoy how it feels. You're connecting basically to the earth. So that way you're also going to connect to your body as well. And this is what basically you get yourself grounded, right? And feel as if you're putting your roots to come in and come out of you. Feel that you're actually getting this oxygen from the nature that you need for grounding yourself, and be open for this ultimate, for love and compassion. So look at this image. We see hands reaching toward each other through a heart. And then every single thing ask about love. Sometimes it was love for on the outside, sometimes it was love of yourself. Even loving all these words, because if you can't accept that you did something, how would you grow, right? Here it's really interesting also because this card is pink and green, and those are basically the colors of heart chakra. It is like really when we feel love in our heart center that we actually naturally emit the healing energy of compassion, but we also attract love. And you guys have been going through some really, really difficult times. It is really time for you to get your nourishment, your new love. You guys really deep for these submerged deep waters. This is who you are. But you know, all wounds stem from the illusion of separation. And we are separated from the person we love, or we are separated from God. It always kind of feels lacking something. But the route to healing this wound is through cultivating love and compassion for every being on this planet, starting with yourself. Give yourself love for things that you do well. Give yourself love for things that you resolve. Give yourself love for every stuff that you do, right? Because this compassion, this is asking us for, true compassion requires not only the feeling of kind of like that warmth, that kind of like you feel that you're in touch with yourself, but also it can be expressed with acts of kindness, even if that just like means listening to somebody, just, you know, not interrupting them, letting them kind of like even babble through their own thing, especially elderly. Kind of respect the fact that your heart is kind of like a giver and a receiver. So when it gives, it kind of like it puts out electrical energy, right? And when it receives, it draws in magnetic energy, very much like a tree, right? Certain things kind of like it's opposite of what we need. So respect the fact that this energy are best sensed by attending to kind of like steady flow of your breathing and righteousness, fear, anger, judgment, and there's some kind of ways that are blocking your natural desire of love. So you were kind of like going out and expressing, and maybe you're going to run into lots of, let's say, obstacles. Maybe you're going to find out what people hide beneath the surface, and maybe it's not going to be only your own fear, anger, and judgment. Maybe you're going to be getting it from the other people. So what do you do, guys? In order to get this transformation, just let go. Forgiveness is not only letting go of judgment, but it's also seeing through the illusion. Because ultimately, we all are one. We all actually are missing parts of us. So by judging somebody else, we're actually really judging us. And I know sometimes when people wrong us, it's really hard to let go. Especially for you guys, fixed sign. I'm a fixed sign. I get it. It's kind of like you need to get this why, and you need to get a closure. But right now, if you look about you and inside of you, I would just say, like, do your best to love whatever you see. This literally is like unbelievable path. And literally, this should be a textbook kind of like lesson into how to accomplish this love. It goes outside, it goes inside, it goes letting go of things that is not important. This would also talk about the boundaries, and sometimes we have the list way too long with things that we need in a partner. They need to be rich, they need to be that. So are we actually becoming the part of that fortress because there is some kind of promise or something? But then what do we get? Do we really get what we need? Because what we really need is already inside of us. So we have to express it in order for us to have this energy, because you see with a tree, it expresses out what we need. So remember this. It's always good to kind of like connect with your surroundings. So let's start with tarot part of your reading. Okay, so I generally shuffle cards and kind of like put them on the table, but the only exception is like I stop and I do it, finishing it in front of you when I have poppers. So look at this. We have, again, Wheel of Fortune reverse, which is one of my karma cards, and it is reversed. See, here we have this wing creature. This would be your Scorpio. This is the phoenix again with wings, remember? Like, it's now a repetitive thing, but this is saying it's going to get dark before it gets light, because the Wheel of Fortune is reversed. It is a karma card. It talks about this, not so many great things about us or about others that will be maybe surfacing. And then we have like Three of Cups, and then we have the Moon. It's kind of really interesting. You have two major arcanas popping out. This certainly talks about nice moments. This is going to be radiance, expressing your love for friends and friendships. And then you have the Moon, and Moon is basically talking about this deep secrets, that kind of like that dark things that need to come out to the surface, and kind of like facing possibly even illusions. Sometimes we have some principles that we have to live our life by, and then you ask these old people who are dying, what is important? And none of that was important. So maybe a slight meditation, kind of like trying to picture yourself dying and really, really look back and think, what would you think at that moment that is really important? And it's going to go back to this card, right? What do you want to hold on, what you don't want to hold on. Okay, Scorpio, September. Scorpio, September. So, what do we have on the bottom of the deck? Flirt. Yes, flirt is cool. With all of this sounded so heavy, but you know what? Grounded, playfulness, flirtations is good. And look at this, Queen of Pentacles. You guys are getting grounded. This is that tree. Queen of Pentacles is somebody who is very resourceful, who is kind of like this quiet expression of sexy, sort of like your librarian type. And she certainly kind of like is the one who packs the lunches and everything. But this could also mean giving this, well, 3 major arcanas. And look at this. This is like it came back over here. Some of you maybe went through a breakup. Some of you maybe went through divorce. Or going through divorce. And you're seeking yourself. And this is maybe why you feel unlucky. Maybe this is why you feel unhappy. But ultimately you're getting like on top of things. So this is really, really good. In spite of this thing. So this transformation is happening again from the ashes. So let's see what you have. Stay optimistic about your love life. Children. Romantic feelings. It is safe for you to love. Let your friends help you. Pay attention to the red flags. Wedding. Retreat. Finances and career. There you go. New love. You guys, you're like on fire. You guys are on fire. Oh my gosh. So I think this is what it was, kind of like it was some kind of process where maybe you even felt like you're not lovable. And going through these stages is happening. You guys transforming yourself in a really, really big way. Again, we have the Knight of Cups, which is the knight in the shining armor happening. So let's see what we have here. Look, you have the radiance as well repeating over here. You had the grounding on the bottom of the deck. Do we have completion cards? Not yet. We don't have aces as well, but we definitely have submerged. We have this hanged man. So let's start. This is the past. It is safe for you to love. Open your heart to give and receive the highest energy of all. But then you have like this Page of Pentacles. It's kind of like energy wondering, okay, you know, is this really going anywhere? Like, I mean, am I stuck where I am? And how do I go from here? It was really feeling stuck in love and not knowing which way to go. You see the snake? Now we know, guys, this is you. That's why it is a temptation, right? You see him over here holding on to the snake. So it is like that feeling of, okay, what do I want to believe about me, right? This is again going into that kind of like finding out who you really are. And certain direction is not possible to be built, or you kind of like maybe you were building something and it was not going anywhere. And it sounds to me it could be about the relationship, that for some reason it didn't kind of continue being built, because we have the 2 pentacles, and pentacles are really needed for building relationships. So then we have this romantic feelings, but then we have this Page of Swords. And Mr. Page of Swords is like not the nicest person to have around. He's very smart, or she's very smart. Certainly witty. Certainly kind of like knows a lot. But oh my god, the way they go about it is like a little bit too much. It's like right in your face kind of a thing. So see, because of that, sometimes people don't, it could be even you, that maybe you didn't convey the message properly, and hence you have been disqualified from this love opportunity. This is that new moon, the promise. So the romantic feelings are there, but maybe that harshness kind of got in the way. It's almost like burning your food, like it's a fantastic food, and then like you kind of like that harshness or kind of going too much actually ends up burning it. So there was kind of like the sadness, and this is kind of in the root. Or it also could mean that you're looking for the truth in something, that you're looking kind of like getting to the bottom of some kind of like why. It was the promise of something that kind of like didn't really go further. And let's see what is basically the base. You kind of like are saying to yourself, no matter what happened, if this person takes away from me my optimism, who I am to feel love, and to you, Scorpio, love is the food for your soul, this kind of like would be a big loss. So instead, you're deciding to be a knight in the shining armor. You're going back into this love and compassion and the promise. But again, focus. You need to focus to what you want. Like you see, she's very kind of like disappointed. We have another 4 here, and we have a 4 here. 4s are generally good. They're talking about rebuilding. But look at here, it's saying, well, what do you build it? What do you want to build on? And is it sometimes like, I mean, too big of the wall? Do you maybe sometimes fence yourself in? This is saying, okay, are you maybe a little bit unrealistic in your expectations? So look at this. This is kind of happening. You are kind of like shifting. You're shifting from this ultra romantic to ultra pragmatic. From the Knight of Cups to a Knight of Pentacles. So I don't know if you notice, we have a white horse and then we have a black horse. White horse are the things we know. Black horse are the unknown things. So it is unknown territory, because I guess, guys, you're allowing this lightness. You're allowing this transformation to happen. This is moving sort of like with the same speed, maybe a little bit faster than your speed, but it's something that is kind of like really grounded. This, we are talking about light dates. We are talking about casual dating. We are talking about, hey, let's go for a coffee. Hey, did you see this movie? Hey, you know, kind of like that fine line between friendship and love. You will actually go out of your way to admire other people. And some of you might have children in your life that you're going to pay attention to. This children card also could mean your children, can mean your partner's children. It could mean you're willing to have children. But it also looks like your inner child, because this card 6 of Wands talks about, oh, look at this, I didn't take my cat cards for you. Whoops. Holy smoke. Just realized it now. Well, anyway, the 6 of Wands talks about kind of like going deep and trying to see what you can admire, giving other people that accolades. Literally, like it said, flirt, but like not flirt in a kind of funny way, but sort of like be lighthearted, almost childlike. You see, there you go. There we have this 3 of Cups. Have this kind of friendship energy going, and you know how pure that energy is. Just think of any good friend that you have. There is like energy without expectation. It's an energy of joy just to be in this person's company. And look at this. This energy is going to get you to this ultimate love, to that completion. So there is like your full moon card here that is showing up. This is where we are. Right here in the core of who you are. You actually know it's going to happen. It's right here. So what is grounding you is kind of interesting. See here, again, you'll be talking to your friends, but you'll be also trying to either rid of yourself of something, or you will feel that you're battling against the odds. 7 of Wands reversed. Of course, here there is somebody who is independent. 7s are always spiritual. 7s are always independent. But here we have the person who is kind of like having the 6 different things coming at them, you know, all these curveballs. And this requires independent thinking. This person is protecting his heart chakra. But here it kind of feels like I am overwhelmed. It's just like the whole world is against me. It's too much. You see, kind of like some of you really did come out from something that you're still recovering from. This card means the worst is over, but it was not easy. So, hey, talk to your friends. And maybe there are things that you need to kind of like walk away from. Maybe, you know, there are things that you have to acknowledge that maybe either they're part of you, maybe they're not part of you. But this is the card saying of, okay, so what is going to possess the person who has all of this to walk away? Maybe this person is figuring, okay, maybe there is something better for me. So you have to ask yourself the same question. Is, guys, there something better for you? This is like promise of it. This is a new moon. He is going toward this new moon. He is going toward that promise. What is there? Can I go and find something else over there? You see, kind of like, you see this like wand, the stick that he has, that again will go back to you. Let your friends help you. Kind of go with it. Allow other people to give you the input. Allow other people to give you their own opinions of what they think of you, and where maybe you're rigid, where maybe you're too soft. So I'm not saying go and change it just because people tell you, but it's going to give you a little bit better way of seeing. These people are basically your mirror to tell you how you appear on the outside, because you know yourself inside who you really are. So what's going to happen in the near future? You are actually right now more or less focused on observation. You see, the Hanged Man, it's kind of interesting. It's pretty much, there are two cards in tarot that talk about God, and this is one of them. Fool is one, kind of the complete innocence, and this is another one, the Hanged Man. So this is definitely talking about the surrender. This is talking about, you know, it's going to be thy will, not mine. There is like doing nothing, understanding that things come in the right timing, but it's also lots of thinking that's going to go. And this thinking is internal thinking. It's thinking looking from the other point of view, right? And look, you have the Tower. It maybe turbulence would be needed for certain things to kind of like come out to the surface, and this is like that submerge what has been done in the subconscious. Maybe what you thought was right was not kind of like accepted in the same way, but look at it, you have 3 major arcanas. So these are again secrets, something holding on, and this looks like to me maybe it's going to be just observation of things around you, and things maybe that were harmful to you. Maybe you were engaged with some people or some kind of circumstances that were not really built properly, because Tower ultimately talks about that. These people are falling off Tower not because they want to, but because they have to. This Tower has been hit with thunder. Mind you, like you are one of the 2 signs that can really handle this. And it's like this turbulence. Sometimes it's good for all chips to fall, for everything to be burned into ground. Wow, where are those ashes and the phoenix? Right? And I think this is where this is starting. So this is talking about the second part of September. So it's going to be really interesting when I do your bi-weeklies to see really how it fits. And you will really, even though initially you're going to do nothing, by that point you're going to try to figure out some secrets, or somebody holding back from you, or maybe trying to almost even kind of see how you can do better yourself. Look, we have another 7 over here. So what's going on? This is already second 7. That is talking about some kind of independence. A wedding, marriage, and then living in the dream world. Maybe you really want to marry somebody, because this card means same as children, many things. It could talk about your own marriage. It can talk about attending a wedding. It can talk about you willing to be married. But this card says there is something that is like too dreamy about it. That is kind of like, wait a minute, certain things are not realistic. The Emperor reverse talks about what kind of person do you really want to be, right? It talks about instability, not being in control of something. And this is, we are all talking about your emotions, about who you are. What are you going through in this period? Wow. The Emperor and the Empress. Now, this is talking about somebody who was your mate, maybe who you were married to, or with whom you had a really significant relationship. And so you're addressing lots of time thinking about that, and you will try to figure out what is it you want with this, because if you look at 7 of Cups, this man is facing choices. This man is facing, what do I want? Do I want another tower, as you see? Do I want power? Do I want jewelry? Do I want, you know, like special kind of like energy? You see, here is like the snake, this transformation. Do I want another person, or I don't even know what I want? Or do I want all of it? But here, it's not much choice in all of that. And maybe this is the hardest part for you, where you are just simply experiencing things coming to you. So now the interesting thing about the Emperor, in the Empress, we are again talking about grounding over here. You need to ground yourself to realize how much of this was realistic, how much of this was not realistic, and maybe kind of like come up with kind of some solutions. So this is your environment. This is you guys, the King of Cups. It's certainly a water sign quality. It's talking about retreat. And it says it's time to disconnect from the world. It is time for you guys, and it keeps saying everywhere, to go deep. You guys are absolutely capable of doing that. Go and get this rid of anger and anxiety, and it's literally clean it out. If you need to shout, shout. Go to the place where you feel safe. If you need to tell somebody to F off, well, try to not to do that to them in the face. Try to do it in the privacy of your own room and get it all out, and it's out. This is all it takes. Retreat is also a place where you kind of recharge your energy, you know, like erase your hard drive. It's taking a few days vacation and not seeing anybody, not having any phones or videos and anything. And this is going to start getting you out of this cold. You kind of, like some of you, still feel being left out, still feel injustice, feeling this piercing kind of thing. Maybe you even have the issues with sleeping. Again, I'm seeing all this cleansing that we have seen in all this preparation of the cards, right? And then all of a sudden you're getting into this radiance. So this kind of like recharging, this retreat, is going to be a biggie, because then you're going to finances and career, and you're saying, wait a minute, I cannot find my sea legs everywhere. Let me look into my work. And then it's going to be some kind of celebration. It's going to be some new beginning. Again, we have the white horse. Is this something you're dealing with that is like that you know? This can mean promotion. It certainly talks about celebration. Certainly, like you maybe have been stuck in your career for a while. You're kind of like getting unstuck. At least you're seeing the way out of it. And be very careful about some possible manipulation. Maybe even somebody saying to you that they're single, somebody who is a great dater, but who suddenly kind of disappears. This person could be involved with somebody. But this also can talk about your boss, or somebody who is giving you some kind of promises, so kind of like be extra cautious. But at the same time, I would recommend keep that radiance, keep that kind of like positivity, keep this love, and honestly, people cannot fight it. There is like no way to kind of undermine all of that. So in the end, you guys are opening your door to a new love, and it will be a new person that's most likely coming to your life. This could be cutting off things with the past. Wow. We have another couple here that is no longer a couple. So this is a couple that is no longer a couple, but that is communicating, right? So this is a couple that for some reason is still kind of having a connection. That's what I said. It could be ex-wife or ex-husband, and maybe you have children together. But now I see a couple that is not a couple. So for some of you, you will be considering a reunion with somebody. You will be considering conciliation, but not in a foolish way. Because look, you are going to go, the biggie this month for you will be pay attention to the red flags. You will be scrutinizing everybody and everything, and you're going to start with yourself. So what most people will not understand, Scorpio, that you have the ability to really go and dig deep into who you really are. And when people see that you harshly judge others, they understand that you judge yourself 10 times harsher. And you're going to do and dig deep, and you're going to do literally cleaning house on the outside and inside. It's going to be, that's the line in the sand I'm moving forward, because this is what King of Swords does. He's kind of can be very harsh, very much like this Page of Swords, but reverse king of swords can be even harsher, because this is somebody who ultimately can make these decisions. And it could be you, that you don't want to be the partner anymore of the past, that you want to be a partner with somebody in the future. This, now we see this new beginning. Finally, that's this promise. So this is something that is a long term. This is a huge opportunity. Sure, here it looks like it was some kind of like missed love opportunity, but this is even bigger than love. This is like a choice of a life partner. This is like kind of like this indecision is finally formulating, and you're finally realizing what you want and what you don't want, because you have like two kings. You don't want just an ordinary husband or ordinary partner. You want something that is like now built properly. So this is why you're going to all these lengths to kind of do it, and kind of like do this like basically inner work for yourself. So guys, what I'm going to do next, and this is kind of surprise, we are going to do the 3 cards. And I'm going to kind of like clean the table, shuffle the cards. I'm going to place 3 cards on the table like face down. You think of the question that you want an answer, and then you're going to pick one of these 3 groupations, and this is going to be your answer. So just give me a second and I'll click back as soon as the cards are on the table. Alright guys, did you make your wish? Which way is it? Is it the group number 1, group number 2, or group number 3? Pick one. Okay, for those of you who picked this group, I actually had 2 cards jumping. Whoa, we have the Death. There is your transformation card here. And then the World. You're still holding on to something. You're not finishing the transformation. You're coming back to certain issues. This is not a great place to be. Those of you who actually had this question really need to work deep inside of yourself on this submerged part. This particular answer means, if you ask if you're going to go back with someone, yes, but it's going to be a really weird place where it's not going to be a happy place, because that means something is going to die and you're not going to be able to let go. So when I said yes, it's not going to be in a good way. It could be almost forced. Ultimately, it's not going to work out, guys. I'm sorry to say this. For those of you who've picked this one, whoa, 8 of Cups. And again, we are talking about walking away. Somebody's walking away. Remember, we had the same card in seeking something better, something else. This could be you guys. This could be kind of like going toward this new love and toward this new compassion. And the 3rd card, the Hermit reversed. So that's the God card reversed. Here we have like this crescent moon over here happening. So some of you are lonely, I think. Some of you are trying to kind of like figure out where do you fit. Loneliness is not a natural emotion. Loneliness is programming. Loneliness means that you haven't properly assessed who you are, because generally you can always find things not to be lonely, right? So this is talking about concentration. Maybe you're not able to concentrate. Maybe you're not able to find a particular hobby. Generally, like sometimes we have to go into these safe spaces where we just think about life, etc., right? And sometimes this is talking about struggling in a situation. Well, all the 3 cards are telling me, Scorpio, that all my little introduction here is going to be meaningless to quite a few of you. Some of you are going to really get it. Look, I have to kind of like look for something that is like fruitful for me, but others are still going to hold on to this. By the way, card represents you, Scorpio, as well. So let's see what happens. All right, now let's see a few different storylines over here. Let's see what we can see from Lenormand next. Hey guys, I'm trying to kind of block the sun from the outside. It's a south window, so it's kind of hard, but hopefully you'll be able to see all the cards. It's better than it was before I put the blinds down. So For those of you who don't know Lenormand has like two main significators, the lady over here and the gentleman over here. And either of them can be your gender, so then you don't have to focus on which one signifies you. However, the second one can signify the person of interest. So I'll give you a few storylines that I see. Again, I see for some of you the coffin, which is that death. Something is going to end over here. And here is a child. So some of you, and this could be that new moon, this could be new beginning, but this also can mean the end of some kind of arrangement with somebody and moving on. This kind of is interesting because look at this here. Well, actually it can mean a few things, so I have to be able to say all of them for the various Scorpios that I have out there, because first of all you have the death here, but you also have the mountain, you have the cross. These all and the mice, these all are actually really difficult cards that are clustering here. And then you have the skies and the whip and the clouds. So I can see that how you're on the bottom, kind of like you feel on the bottom. Here is a career and thinking about your job, what to do, maybe applications for the new job. And here you have like this radiance in the first three cards. It's very important. So something is going to take on a new direction. So here is this new promise and new beginning. Maybe you're going to get more commitment at work. Maybe you're going to kind of like get a firm kind of like 9-to-5 job, something that you're going to really like, something that's maybe involving lots of people. Some of you might be entrepreneurial and kind of like explore these kind of opportunities, and if you do, they will be very successful, but you have to stop being loyal to things that you have been loyal to. In a way, if there is like no return on it, I'm not saying being disloyal, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying if certain things don't work, you have to kind of clean your own house if you wish, right? Because here's the house and the whip, so certain things need to change. So this is that transformation that you guys are going through. You see, you have to let this line shine in, so that's why you're kind of like cracking a whip, so the dust is going to raise all over. You will be also thinking about your own health and how this is impacting you. I have to tell you, it's going to be a very strenuous month. It's going to be working, you'll be working on a number of levels. So we had the children card over there, and we have the child. Well, the child could mean many things here, just like over there. It could be something from the past that's finally seeing the light of a day. Maybe something from the past that just like it didn't work. Maybe something from the past that will work, because then we can follow this tangent, the ship, the child, the ship, the tower. Maybe somebody's from the long distance. Maybe you're dating, or you will be dating somebody from long distance, because it certainly also talks about children and kind of going into this direction. And here is like where this kind of like mate, and you are kind of like hooking up. There's literally the little kind of anchor, the hook, and a heart, and the tower can mean, well, maybe even getting married. This could be somebody from the past, somebody who could be well off, and that could be a new crossroads. You have the star and the moon and the bouquet. This is kind of like, okay, standing on your 2 feet, or your partner being very reputable. So some of you are really feeling buried under the mountain. Let's say you feel like everything is coming at you from all the sides, the health, the work, the communication, and you're craving this new start, and you will so get it. But as I said, it's going to get dark. Look at this card. The dawn is there, but look at how dark it gets before the dawn. So you have to put an end to certain things. So certain problems will still be persistent there, maybe for even another 2 months. And it's something karmic to you. You're literally right now transforming. You're kind of like accomplishing part of your karma. So this is that completion, right? That's the completion. You have to get over it. And then we have this child, which is this new moon, that kind of promise. You are already probably from the last month's transformation getting into this radiance, getting into this understanding of, you know, how important it is to kind of like emanate this love. But there is certainly that transformation over there. So here you see the submerged. You're going almost simultaneously through these things, to the biggest heights of yours and to the biggest low of yours. So it's going to be pretty much rocky month, I have to tell you. Now, for the others, that maybe this is your significator, you kind of are really in the mood for love. You kind of like really want to kind of like put your anchor down. They're lovebirds. You want to communicate. There is the key to something. There is like something, some kind of burden that you maybe had in the past and some kind of issues, but now they're getting lifted off. Maybe you wanted to start something and something kind of like had a false start, and you're actually coming back to that as soon as next month. And I'm talking about it could be in the entire October, because it's already the end of August that I'm doing this reading at. So, and then it could be crossroads, and these crossroads are good. No matter what you pick, it's going to be good for you. Yeah, it's going to be certainly dedication to the financial future. It could be somebody from the past coming back, your past love, because this can indicate reunions, but this can go all the way to the winter. It can be the process that will take a while, and kind of establishing yourself. Some of you might move the residence from home to, I don't know, the apartment building, to a condo, to high-rise. So some of you, and this could be the same, it could be the same person. It could be that you're going to start your month from the bottom and cleaning all these things, going deep inside, kind of like getting rid of everything, and then ending up with this big finale, with big love finale. Because you guys are going, this is the second month you're going through this transformation. So here we have this both grounding, right, with anchor and compassion. We have it here, and this is definitely completion. It's kind of like job well done. And this guys could be somebody who is from long distance, where some kind of traveling would kind of be involved. Some of you might also actually have a job promotion that's going to take you living somewhere else. So the next is going to be gypsy spread, and it's going to be nitty gritty. We are going to go really, really deep. We are going to have way more significators in gypsy, and kind of like many kind of like currents that are going that we don't even see or maybe know. So let me click in when I put all the cards, full grand tableau on the table. All right guys, full grand tableau. Like now, this, you cannot see any reading that has this for the entire horoscope sign. But let's start. As I told you, this actually has way more intrigues over here, because literally this is life. Look, there is the wife or the woman with children. Keep in mind that it could be more than one, that could be you. Then we have basically a sweetheart, which could be single ladies, or it could be also any person that is kind of like looking out there to see what is the solution. The lover is talking about somebody available. Then the Lord is talking about either a professional, or he could be a married guy. But then we have this enemy. Enemy could be us as well, right? We can be our own worst enemies. And then we have a foe. So foe generally talks about a female rival or male rival. Then we have a young woman over here, who can be somebody younger, but it can also be a daughter or a child. Well, there are some others, service and servant here as well, kind of like that there are people still kind of hovering in our life. So these are two bottom cards. We had a house reversed and servant. So just like as I saw, some of you might be actually moving. Certain kind of like living conditions are not serving you well anymore. So here there are many storylines. And as I was glancing at them, they kind of like really reflect what we have seen. You see again the child and love reversed, and fortunes, just like that wheel of fortune that kind of came out. Some of you will be redefining certain things. The merchant card here means, you know what, this is a raw deal for me. I don't like it, and I'm going to do my best to redefine this, because it doesn't work for me. So why the heck would I continue doing that? And maybe you will feel that you are your own worst enemies, or the person who actually did that kind of stuff when you kind of didn't work out. This can be connected to some of you who maybe had a love affair in the past, who maybe there was a third person over here, and that kind of like brought you this misfortune, and maybe kind of like it was the loss of relationship as a result of that. But you are really craving that intimacy, and at the same time you are fearing that certain things can happen. You're not even able to communicate properly, but you're still hoping for a reunion. I do have to tell you that your partner also is hoping for a reunion, but timing is not right, because this conversation has to happen properly, not when it's reversed. Surprise can be a negative surprise. There's still some kind of lies going on. There are some kind of false friends, as you can see, falseness and friends. And there is the old lady. Somebody could be older in your life, or in your mate's life, because it's kind of like catching up here. So it's a false joyfulness. Somebody is having the conversations and advice that's not very useful. It's maybe creating even more turmoil. Because it's weird. I have the misfortune here, and then I have a fortune, but fortune is reversed. So it's again something from the past with some person. That's what I said, you have to redefine. It's going to continue not working out until this conversation is being kind of like accomplished, because certainly there are issues. So now this is kind of really interesting, because I see here a sweetheart, and I see a wife, a mother with kids on the other side. So one could be your mate, one could be a wife with the children, and kind of like maybe this transition is going to go through friendship and through hope. However, when I go in this trajectory, one person here is having lots of issues that they have to deal with, right? Like here we have 3 people, here we have 3 people, and here we have 3 people again, and here we have quite a few people. So it's a cluster of people that's happening. These 3 groups are not necessarily, it could be 3 events, but they're not necessarily serving your best purpose. So you have to figure out who your friends are, because in your readings, this could be your partner as well. This is kind of like being referred to, because you do want to get to this part, joyfulness. And so some of you are not healing. Some of you are still kind of like feeling a loss of something, but you kind of ended that hope. And you kind of like feel somebody was there, your rival. There are still some kind of secrets here involved and are in the path to your own happiness. Now, this is the interesting part about this wife, who could be somebody who is in a relationship as well. For those of you who are, or who are on and off, you do have a rival, somebody who is definitely interfering with your marriage or with your relationship. You see the thief. But that rival is going to go out of the picture, because here is some kind of divorce is happening, or a breakup is happening. The priest is reversed with wedding, and then there's the rival, but it's not going to be easy. You know, again, it's going to take time, and Melody here and the doctor here tells me that some of you might be actually in counseling and dealing with these secrets through basically a third party. I like this faithfulness in a young woman. It could be that some of you have children, right? Because it comes here, and you're really enthused to heal and get better because of your children, or because of you not willing to kind of like surrender yourself. And this is kind of like really interesting. I'm not quite sure what this means, but there are lots of bad cards that clustered here together. We have sights, and that's around this guy gentleman that could be your partner. So the prison reverse talks about literally trying to escape from marriage, right? If not from prison, or trying to get out of prison, out of marriage. The thief of the wedding and the death. So somebody, and like, look at this jealousy and melancholy, and then I see nothing that happens in the future there, because it's the very last card. So it looks like somebody is going through some kind of severe regrets. Somebody's trying to get out of the situation, which can be as complex as marriage, but at the same time they are feeling, the thief is obviously feeling inadequate, right? Because they cannot make it themselves, so they have to steal. But there's going to be a standstill, just like the hangman card that we saw. It's going to be lots of thinking about it. So here is this long distance person, just like what we saw it over there. It could be just also a very, very deep thought that is kind of like involved into this. But the central card, if you really look like in the cross, is this joyfulness. And this goes back to the Three of Cups that we saw in the other deck, which kind of like shows like three ladies like dancing and enjoying themselves. But around this joyfulness, we have falseness, we have the old lady, friend, widower reversed, money, the priest reversed, the soldier reversed, doctor, and waiting. So, oops. So for this to happen, lots of thinking has to place, and it could be your thinking, it could be bouncing this off with a friend, it could be going through counseling, and literally again, that's what you had. Remember, you had this submerged. This is really happening. You're really going deep and trying to figure out really what works. You're kind of completing certain issues because you're renegotiating the deals. You're not anymore kind of like trying to make this work what didn't work. So here's this miser and the thief. It's right here. Maybe it's referring to the things that you felt it was really valuable and you don't find this valuable, so hence it is maybe you getting out of this jail, and it was maybe self-imposed jail where you kind of like felt you kind of like you have to be stuck there because this is kind of like what was really important. Here we do see a potential of a promise. You see that there is a reunion for some of you, but be very careful of this reunion. Just like we saw it in these answers, be very careful if this is going to serve you your best interest. Some of you will reunite even with really hope that certain things will actually work out. And they will after a while. But then again, if you don't rebuild it properly and you guys had a tower, you do have to transform. And you see, this is like what the widower says, you have to transform from one state to another. Now, these are the three cards that are coming out, and the love here is reversed, and the child here is reversed, and the constancy, which will be the grounding, is reversed. So all of these cards are basically here. So this is telling me that this work has to be done. This is like the key. Love, and self-love. This is the key to your entire reading, guys. That you have to this time, like, because like all of this stuff that is happening is almost like you're in the eye of the storm. Like everything is happening and everything is repeating and you're not letting go, you're trying to make it work. But you cannot stop the tornado. All you can do is like in the middle of being in the middle of it, observe it. And that's what kept off saying, observe it. And just like realize that you're transferring from inside, not from the outside. And to seal your reading, guys, for September, I did pull one more card from my enchanted map, and you got Dry Desert. So let me kind of read this for you. It says, again, dig deep for inspiration and truth. Now it is time to become resilient and adaptable. Is your life presenting you with opportunities that seem to yield nothing? Have your ideas dried up? Does it feel like you're on an endless journey through a dry, hot, lifeless desert? This card reminds you that there are times when you're meant to become resilient as you journey through harsher circumstances. You're being required to conserve your energy until, after consistent effort, you reach the oasis you're searching for. Consider the creatures that live in these conditions. They have adapted to thrive in spite of the outer environment. In a desert, water, essential for life, can be found deep underground. Go deep within yourself now. Find your truth there. Let spirit sustain you while you locate the real source. Whatever it is you're asking about will not be found in the conditions you are in until you move past the surface of things and choose to do the real work and discover the answers deep within you. This may not seem like the most productive time, but looks are deceiving. This is a most important place to find what's truly right for you. Guys, makes sense, right? You really have to do this work. And meditation, prayer, focus, thinking positive, expressing love it's really going to help. And don't forget to ground yourself. Where is our little tree? Over here. Tree. Oh my gosh, where is the tree? I lost the card. I didn't. Ground yourself. Very important. Think of yourself as a tree. Think of yourself, you're growing in both directions. Think of yourself, you have to get this nourishment from the sun, as you're seeing from the top, but you also have to be submerged on the bottom. And you're going through the phases, all the way from a new moon to a full moon. And your reward, guys? Love. So transformation is needed. This is why none of these things were giving me a definite answer, because it's kind of very hard to pinpoint a definite answer for somebody who is basically a masterpiece in motion. So you guys are that masterpiece, and I would love to hear your comments. And maybe it's good to catch a few times in a month this reading. And also please check your moon sign. Moon sign talks about our emotions. Our Venus sign talks about how we actually approach love. And Mars sign is good to check for the person of interest, because that's literally who they are looking for in a mate. So, and for the private reading, this is general, guys. For a private one, we can actually really pinpoint this like further down, because the energy is like a little bit simpler. So contact me via my website, catchtarot.ca, and you can also reach out to me on Facebook and ask me any questions that you have. And until the next month, actually not in next month, yeah, until the 1st, when your bi-weeklies are out, I love you, Scorpio, and looking forward to hearing back from you. Love your comments, and please like and subscribe. All the best. Love you.